Months after the killing of George Floyd by the Minneapolis police, some protesters against police brutality are taking a more confrontational and personal approach. The marches in Portland are increasingly moving to residential and largely white neighborhoods where demonstrators with bullhorns shout for people to come out of your house and into the street and demonstrate their support. These more aggressive protests target ordinary people going about their lives, especially those who decline to demonstrate allegiance to the cause. That includes a diner in Washington who refused to raise her fist to show support for Black Lives Matter, or in several cities, confused drivers who happen upon the protest. The tactics are dividing supporters of Black Lives Matter, with some worried that the confrontational approach will antagonize people who would otherwise be receptive to the message, or plan to conservatives' critique of the protests, which have been largely nonviolent nationally. Others, frustrated that little has changed since Mr. Floyd was killed, say that sitting idly and watching a protest without participating nowadays is to show tacit support for racism. We don't need allies anymore, said Mr. Green, an investor who is an entrepreneur in Portland who is also black. We need accomplices. In Rochester, New York, protesters have confronted people at outdoor restaurants, shaking dinner tables. Marchers in Washington also accosted people eating outside, urging everyone to raise their fist to show their allegiance to the movement. The more personal tactics echo those being used against elected officials, with activists showing up not only outside mayor's offices, but their homes as well. The apartment building where the mayor of Portland lives has been vandalized. Protesters lit fires outside, ignited fireworks, and broke into one of the businesses in the building on his birthday. In San Jose, California, demonstrators graffitied and egged the mayor's house and lit an American flag in front of it, according to police. In Rochester, people have recently posted police officers' home addresses and information about their families, according to a police spokeswoman. In Portland, Jessie Burke, she's black and she hosts an educational children's YouTube series. What I was witnessing was a lamenting prayer, a cry of remorse and shame among the white people. That's what I saw. It was healing. The American flag that generated controversy is displayed in Kenton, a neighborhood of Portland with small bungalows, lush front gardens, and ripe fruit trees. Weeks after the confrontation, the husband and wife who fly the flag said they were fearful of retaliation from the roving protesters who had found their phone number. But they say they will not be intimidated into removing the flag. I will not take my flag down, said the husband, who declined to provide his name in a brief interview, of course. The same night the protesters came to the couple's door last month, they marched into Kenton's commercial district and used restaurant picnic tables as fuel for fires. They collected the colorful wooden dividers the neighbors had recently built for outdoor dining and set those ablaze as well. Trip this, y'all. Mr. Black and others in the community ran into the protest with fire extinguishers. Protesters also that same night broke into the Portland Police Association building and set it on fire. A man was later seen scrubbing the sidewalk graffiti. A popular message was, PPB equals KKK. Mr. Green said that he opposed the destruction of property, but that he also understood it. And he believes generally that the more direct protest tactics in residential areas are working because they make the movement more personal and reveal who truly supports change. If someone is against the movement, they keep their lights off or refuse to raise their fists, he said, adding that taking the debate into homes and to families is essential. Some residents in Portland say the tactics are escalating as the protests become increasingly dominated by white people, including anarchists and supporters of Antifa, the diffused collection of militant left-wing activists that has a strong presence in the region. The movement is splintered in Portland between more mainstream Black Lives Matter marches and the more aggressive, sometimes chaotic Antifa or Black Bloc protests, where demonstrators dress in black and wear motorcycle helmets or ski masks to make it difficult to identify or later prosecute them. Do I need to read that part again? Demonstrators dressed in black and wear motorcycle helmets. These demonstrators are the more aggressive, sometimes chaotic, Antifa or Black Bloc protests. Remember when I was telling you guys at the park about being in black now? You've just been labeled. Pay attention. Promoted on the Black Lives Matter Portland events page, a nonviolent protest, in quotation marks, in the city center and an autonomously organized direct action march, which is also in quotes. No one appeared to be at the city center protest, but around 200 people were at the other event. Listen to this narrative, you guys. Listen to this. This is what I talk about when we're being infiltrated. Listen to this. This is a narrative. They gathered in an unlit park in a residential neighborhood around 8 p.m. Everyone wore black, including some protesters who had on body armor and motorcycle helmets. They hastily set up picnic tables and supply booths in the dark, using cell phones for light to showcase their goods. There was a food table overflowing with protein bars and Monster energy drinks. So once again, this article was written by someone who was walking amongst us.
We're no less an agent of revolution.
A small free literature selection was set up on the grass and overseen by 3 people in ski masks. That's very important. They were in ski masks. Offering, and people crowded around, craning to see the pamphlets. The titles included, "Why Break Windows?" "I Want to Kill Cops Until I'm Dead." "Peace Now, Peace Later." The first piece is spelled P-I-E-C-E. Peace now, as in body pieces. Peace later. P-E-A-C-E. An anarchist introduction to firearms. In defense of smashing cameras and 3-way fight. Revolutionary anti-fascism and armed self-defense. People were crowded around the table, craning their necks to see these pamphlets at a Black Lives Matter movement? I sincerely hope not. Exactly. The energy was something like a carnival in the dark. Paint balloons! Get your paint balloons, someone barked. But around 9:30, the group was in some organizational chaos. They had decided that the neighborhood close by was too racially diverse for them to protest in. They needed to go somewhere whiter. And that's an actual word right here. W-H-I-T, whiter.
Woodstock is pretty white.
So the protesters caravanned 20 minutes away to Alberta, a more affluent neighborhood that began being gentrified in the 1990s.